Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Veterans Hour with me, Andy, and Mark, our resident Geordie. How we doing, mate?
Good morning. I'm all right. I'm canny. Not so bad.
So we're recording this on Mother's Day. So have you made a fuss? Have your good lady wife and the kids and
Probably got a present. Yeah.
all that sort of stuff?
Sadly, I have to wish my mother happy Mother's Day in heaven because she's not with us any longer.
What about your wife? Has she been looked after by the kids? And
Oh, she's got flowers and Ferrero Rochers and card and some trainers, whatever else,
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Great stuff. Right. So how are you feeling? Because I saw you yesterday, and you were struggling a bit, weren't you, with your neck and your arm and.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got a few discs out of my neck, C3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So when they run, it's painful.
I imagine you looked a bit in pain yesterday. You looked a bit in pain, but I saw you yesterday. I was on the market yesterday. Then I came home and I just happened to open Facebook and I see me good friend there, Mark Appleby, on Facebook, and this is his status: 13-year-old birthday party at my house. Probably the worst fucking day of my life. Can someone please come and sanitize my shins for me? Right. So last episode we spoke about dark humor, and we've very much hitting the button here. How's your shins? How's your shins?
Sadly, they've still got skin on them.
Right. So it gets better. It gets better. So you had a comment on your Facebook last night. There's worse to come, mate. I kind of stop laughing at this. Right? There's worse to come, mate. Your reply. Inspiring. Cheers. I might just go and run myself into a huge propeller. Do you have a spare propeller hanging around or something?
I was thinking about going down the docks.
You got some great comments on there, like it gets worse. Then this is where the dark humor kicks in now, right? So you've got to have a sense of humor with us. Okay, so here we go. Introduce them to alcohol. Your reply: I've introduced them to porn.
Yeah, just to officially say to all the listeners out there in Radioland, I didn't. It's a fucking joke. Mind you, the noises that were coming from down here last night, they might have been watching it.
Man, honestly, right, I was in bits reading that last night. I just couldn't stop laughing. And as you can tell, I'm still in bits now reading it. So if I'm feeling down over the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to go and read that post again, because I'm sure it'll cheer us right up.
I'll put something on there for you every day, mate. Don't you worry.
You're a legend. Thanks very much. So we've spoke previously about humor and stuff like that. So that's our level of humor, and it is all a joke. It is a bit of banter and stuff like that. So please don't think that we.
I don't know. You won't. You won't suffer from this because your lovely wife is a Scotty as well. But I'm constantly being told, Mark, too far. Too far. So if I'm coming out with something that I think is absolute comical genius and should be instantly put on the television because it's that funny, and I'm left laughing away at myself in the corner on my own because Debbie's just like, that's too far. Well, that's disgusting. That's horrible.
It comes back, mate, right, to what we spoke about last time, right? And we spoke about transition and coming out and stuff like that. So when I came out and I went into Civvy Street and stuff like that, there was lots of times where I did that. I just said what I thought, and I thought it was like comedy gold. So inside, I'm like killing myself laughing because of my humor levels. But like the civvies didn't get it. So when Eastern Veterans Trust started, and veterans started coming in and stuff like that, we had a lass working for us. She doesn't work there anymore. She's moved on now. But there was a lass working there, and she's so politically correct down the line. And I said something to one of the veterans one day, and she was like, "You cannot say that." It's like, why not? Because it's just so wrong. I was like, Scotty banter, isn't it? And that just nails it for me. You know, when we're talking about transition and
Yeah,
how people don't get the sense of humor and stuff like that, mate. That
it's
just
like
that just nailed it for me. Like,
we'd come out and go, "Morning, knobhead," and the other guy go, "Yeah, morning, morning, knobhead."
yeah,
It's just how we are, and I think that dark humor has to be there. Otherwise, we would be a snowflake army, like
yeah,
we
damn
probably
right.
are now.
Yeah, when the chips are down, mate, you know, you can always rely on each other to put a smile on your face, can't you? You know, but again, what you're saying there about, you know, it's like coming into Civvy Street and stuff like that. I know that at East Down Veterans again, we have like a big office where I used to have a desk. I've now been kicked out into my own little office because I see where I think, and sometimes, you know, as the boss man, like it's a bit wrong. So I've been moved next door, so I'm socially isolated from the world now, and I've just got myself and your Facebook page to keep me going in life.
Good.
You
Well,
know,
have a fun life then.
oh, it's made. I just read that comment. I, if I read it now again, right, I'd just be laughing again. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant. Right. So today, last one we spoke about transition. We've had some more feedback, mate. Love the feedback. Love the feedback. Christine Templey has commented on our post saying that she loved the stories, she loved the laughs, pardon me, but she also felt the emotion as well. When we were talking about difficult things
Namaste, Christine. Namaste.
in the transition side of things. So that was from Christine. My good friend Michael Bonus, ex-artillery veteran, who we had some who we had some feedback from last time. Michael, I saw him the other day. He went, Andy, podcast. I said yes. He went, thumbs up. So thank you very much, Michael. But also I think, you know, they're great feedbacks and everything else. But I think the thing that's getting me over the last 2 weeks since we recorded the last one is the amount of people that come up when we talked about the homelessness and about getting evicted from our quarters and stuff like that, and leaving the military, especially with yourself, Mark, where you know you were street homeless. I wasn't, but I did struggle getting a family home. The amount of people that have come up to me and said, "Andy, that happened to me. That happened to me. I was in that situation." You know, so it just shows it's leaving the military in that transition. It's not an uncommon thing, to be going through that.
Do you know what, mate? And that makes it even sadder that it's happening. It makes it even sadder that we've got I reckon we've got north of 10,000 on the streets now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I do know where it is. I think it's all about that. It's all about money.
Mhm.
Because when the government accept responsibility for us, they then become responsible, and then they then become accountable for us. And all of that responsibility, accountability, that all costs money, and they're not willing to put the money back into us, which I think is shit. When we've been out to these not so nice places around the world and done whatever it is that we're doing, I think it's shite.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, mate. I totally agree with you. I think the problem as well is from like the wider scope of it when leaving with the homeless situation and that is yes, you can have your eviction notice, but councils are saying, you know, unless you're street homeless, they're not going to start interfering. There needs to be something in place a good 6 months previous, you know, when you've identified that area. So for me, I was coming back to Durham, yeah. I wanted to be closer to my parents because my dad was quite poorly at the time. He had a stomach ulcer, he's got Parkinson's disease, he's a diabetic, so he was really, really struggling. So I wanted to be closer to my mum and dad. So we identified quite early on, we're going to County Durham. Yeah. So but we got no support from that council whatsoever. And actually there was a councillor, and I'm not into slagging people off or anything like that, yeah, right? Now this councillor he's since passed away. But he'd helped my mum and dad out previous. And my mum and dad said, write me a letter. Write him a letter. So I wrote him a letter. I got no response back from him. So I got out, I private rented off that lass that I went to school with, I mentioned in the last podcast, right? So private rented, and I was waiting for Openreach, and I just happens to guess this job, and it's him. It was his house, and I'd had no response off him whatsoever. And so I went round, messed on with his phone line. At the time, I wasn't an underground engineer. I said, "Look, you need an underground engineer that's measuring here. That's where it's faulty." And he went, "Okay, no worries." And I told him, I said, "I wrote you a letter. You didn't get back to me." "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, fucking really." So he said, "All right, leave us your email address. I'll see what I can do and get in contact with you." I was like, "Oh, diamond." Because private renting's great and we were really appreciative that we had that. But the amount of money it was costing a month was astronomical.
Yeah.
You know. So I get an email off him, right? And he said to us, in no uncertain terms, by the way, "If you come back to my house and sort my phone line out for us, I'll get you a house wherever you want to be."
Well,
How
really?
bad is that? How bad is that? That's terrible, that man. That is terrible, isn't it?
Wow.
Bad.
That's crackers, that.
That's corrupt as you can get that, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing my job, I'll do my job, but you owe me.
Yeah, exactly. And he's passed away now. Like I've been out about 12 years now, but he's passed away. Like so. Anyway,
Can I just add as well?
yeah, of course.
It's not just councils that don't give a shit as well. So, one of my friends, Craig Bullman, who you've met, you're aware of.
Yeah.
We can maybe get Craig on here at a later date. He's a bit, excuse me, he's a bit busy at the moment. But Craig deals with CSA cases, Child Support Agency or Child Maintenance Services now, as it is now, and he's dealing with all of the illegal processes and activities that them people, and I will use that word very, very loosely, people are up to. And part of what he does is he's stopping them from making people homeless. So essentially, this is the crux of it, and this is happening, and it's happening every week. And Craig's only one man. So like, say Tom owed 11 grand or whatever, right? And he's got a house that's worth 150 grand. They will force him, or he goes to prison, force him to sell his house, right? By the time he pays the 11 grand and 30 grand's worth of admin and court fees and all the rest of it, he's probably left with whatever, about 90 grand from £150,000 sale of a house, and he's got nowhere to fucking go. So this is happening as well. So those government agencies are essentially making veterans homeless for fictitious debts as well, which is money by malfeasance.
Yeah.
So we can have a look at that later on, Andy.
Yeah, definitely. And when Craig's ready and he's available, we'll get him on and he'll tell us all about that. And I've also got someone who's going to come on and talk about transition with us. She emailed us a couple of weeks ago, said she'd love to come on and talk about transitioning and stuff like that.
That's it.
It's a ex-Signals lass called Stacey Cleghorn. You might know her husband Lee Cleghorn, who's just been commissioned, former Signal Squadron. So yeah, Stacey will be coming on, and she's had some struggles getting out and stuff like that. She's been out just over a year now, so we're going to get a more up-to-date version, because we're speaking about our past. We've been out a short while, but Stacey's going to talk about hers. But back to homelessness there, Mark, you spoke there and you said you think there's like over this amount in homeless. I've got some facts and figures for you if you're interested.
Go on.
So SAFA, or is it RBL? It's RBL, sorry. They claim there's around about 6,000 homeless veterans. Shelter, the homeless charity, yeah, they claim there's around about 12,000 homeless veterans.
Yeah, so
the Guardian newspaper claims that in 2023, the year that Up Fortitude was launched by the Veterans Minister Johnny Mercer, they claim that veterans homelessness rose by 23% in 2023. Well, what do you think of them?
I am not shocked at all. No, it's real, Mercer. He's not doing. Look, I've just seen Up Courage on here, right, up on my screen here. So yeah, look, he's doing some good, right? And I suppose it's better to be doing some good than no good. But just to go off topic a little bit. So about a year ago, I was given two names. I'm not saying who they were. Both of them ex-Royal Sigs. I've never spoken to these guys in my life at all. But they were solely intent on just ending their lives because they couldn't cope with all the stress of the life that was going on, and they wanted to get out, and they were just being treated like shit during their transition. Yeah. And they just wanted to fucking end it. Like, and I'm going, Jesus Christ. So anyway, we had a chat, a good long chat, right? And part of it was about Up Courage, and they were saying like, because SAPA run all of the paperwork, admin side of these things. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm kind of spitballing here because it's been a while. So when you get in touch with Up Courage, a representative from SAPA.
Right. So so you are wrong. Yeah. So if you go to Up Courage, that's the NHS, and in the northeast, it's run by Walking with the Wounded. So it rejigged itself about a year ago. So Walking with the Wounded run it. They've got a team of about 4 or 5 people up in Newcastle. And they've also got a guy called Craig, who's a good guy, from Combat Stress.
Is that Robertson?
Craig Douglas, ex-Fusilier.
Right. Well, it wasn't like this when these lads were doing it.
Yeah.
Because they both said, why would I want to fill in all of the information on that form? And it's a long form, Mark, about how I want to kill myself in detail. But I'll go up to the top of the stairs, I'll climb up in the loft, I'll put a rope through there, I'll put it around my neck, I'll jump off the end of the fucking stairs. Yeah. Sorry, swearing. I know your mum's. Sorry, Mum.
Mama Shirley's all right, don't worry about it.
And I'm like, well, why? Why would you want to fill all this in? So I think he's got some of it right, but not all of us. And
I think previously, it was broke down into 3 parts previously. Okay, so you had the till service, you had the CTS, then you had the high dependency that they brought in. The high dependency was for people and veterans who were there. They were like if the 2 guys you spoke out there, we're going to end it, and that was the paperwork one as well. I don't think people really understand what Up Courage is, to be, so let's talk about it, and we'll talk about my experience with Up Courage. We can talk about your experience with Up Courage. Now, my experience with Up Courage, or before it was Up Courage, it was NHS Till Service, goes back to around about 2019-ish, 2018, 2019, something around there, when I found out I had PTSD. And basically, I was working in Newcastle for Openreach, and they sent what I thought was a mental health nurse out to see us, which it wasn't. It was pretty much a caseworker. And they booked a room in a surgery in Newcastle. I had to go there. Sat down, did loads and loads of paperwork with them. I was there for ages, man. I was like, fuck, now this is a bit intense, like. And then I was thinking, right, that's it. They're going to help us in some way. They're going to help us with my mental health, and stuff like that. And that just really wasn't the case at all. They then said, we've got 2 options for you. We can refer you here, or we can refer you here. So basically, it was a referral service. And that's what they're doing. So they sent me to Combat Stress. Now, that's where people get confused. So they go to, this is the process, right? You go to your doctor and you say, I'm a veteran, I'm struggling with my mental health, right? So once you're there, they then go, okay, we'll send you to Up Courage. Now, that Up Courage could have a waiting list. Yeah, it might be a day, it might be a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever. Your experience from that is probably better than mine, because mine's like 6, 7 years old now. And then from there, they then looked after by the guys at the Walking the Wounded and Craig from Combat Stress. They're doing practical support for them. They're putting things into place. And then there's no like mental health support counselor or anything that's going on at this stage. Yeah. To get that, they send them to external agencies.
That's right.
Now, a year ago, before it rejigged to Up Courage, when it was TILS, CTS, and high dependency, for Tees, Esconway Valley, the charity I work for, yeah, we took 78% of all referrals. We took a lot of referrals coming in, right? We took a lot of guys and girls coming in and getting help and support. Since it went Up Courage, I've had one referral. One. So my question is, where are all these people going? Where are they going to get the help and support? You know?
Let me flip that for you. Can I?
Yeah, go for it, man.
So yeah, so I started with Up Courage. Look, the people that I dealt with were fine. For me, I'm trying to be careful what I'm saying here. For
Right.
me,
I'll tell you what, right? Let's not be careful. Let's just tell the truth. Yeah, let's tell the truth. This is your lived experience, right? We're not slagging anyone off or anything like that. You're just explaining your lived experience. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
there was a lot of junctions in that journey,
Yeah.
you know, and at the time, so bit of history. I bought the house for top dollar, right? The people in the house said, "There's nothing wrong with the house." And I went, "Right, fine, brilliant." So I had a pot of gold at the time, right? And I ploughed about £38,000 into this house in 4 months, right?
Mhm.
That is a lot of money to be
Yeah.
put in. So I was going through this financial stress and it's emotional stress. Do you know what I mean? And I'm trying to deal with the relationships that's going on, you know, with me and the kids, and just everything encompassed together. You know what I mean? And I was starting to fray at the edges, and I was getting a bit thin, you know. And I'm drinking too much. I'm getting myself depressed. I'm trying to go for walks, and it started. And you noticed that, if you remember back.
I do, yeah.
I wasn't well for about a week. So anyway, I engaged with Up Courage. A lot of junctions along the way to getting there, and it wasn't particularly guided. It wasn't like, "Mark, we've got you. Don't worry. Ease me hands. Just follow on." I was just left there. It was stagnant. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the information that I was getting through was kind of like, pardon me, it was very wishy-washy. It was very wet. It was kind of like, "Hey, if you want to turn up at the course, that's super awesome. If you don't want to turn up at the course, that's super awesome too. You can just come and go and do as you please because everything's just like super fucking awesome." Do you know
Well,
what I
there
mean?
you
And for me, is a you know squatty, because you get your DS hand comes out. I'd rather, and this is just me, I'd rather it was like that. Right, you need to sit down there, listen in. Okay, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to take you from point A to point B today, and this is going to help you. These are comments, blah 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 blah, and these are all the tools that you can get over the session, and it will help you. Trust me when I tell you this. It will help you. You've got to believe that, Mark. We're here. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And there was none of that. The lass herself was fine. I didn't have a problem with her per se. It was very wet. So I engaged with another service, Andy.
Yeah.
A service that, for me at the time, I thought, well, I may as well just give that a go. And that was your service. Now,
Right.
I'm not blowing smoke up your ass,
I don't want you to.
but it was instant because it was the next day.
Yeah.
I wasn't waiting 2 weeks for this person to come back to me. It was the next day, and I was in. Yeah, there were others that I could have went to. You know, I could have went to Veterans at Ease.
Yeah. Gareth's a good bloke who runs Veterans at East. Yeah, help
He
me out
is a top egg, and I see Gareth quite regular. I could have went to Gareth, but I didn't. I'm on more of a personal level with Gareth now.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't. But I went with you, and it's effective. Essentially, you know, I just need someone to talk to about all this shit in my head.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it. I think the structure of Up Courage is there, but it's too long of a process. If you've got Tom, Dick, and Harry that are intent on killing themselves, and I've had a few of these guys that I've had to sort out, as you have, as others have. It's scary. It's scary to be dealing with somebody that is like genuinely intent on just ending their fucking lives because of whatever, or courage takes too long. They need somebody to intervene right there and right now. And sadly, that's left down to smaller, independently run entities like you and Veterans at Ease, and maybe further down the line, Walking the Dog, Gareth Howell, Walk and Talk, Paul Tyrrell down in Manchester, Rochdale area, who does Walk It Out.
Good lad too.
It shouldn't be left to the likes of us to deal with all of this. It should be them, the big boys at the top with all the coins, should be doing all this.
But they won't. And it's as simple as that. They won't. So yeah, so to up courage, I agree. I think it's one of the things for me was, if I was to talk about my lived experience of 2018, 2019, when I was there, man. I was close to the end, and I was with Combat Stress, and I was down. The Combat Stress were running the course up in Scotland, and they put us down for the course in Scotland, and I was literally 2 weeks away from going, and then I get a letter through the door saying we've lost our funding. Basically, we discharging everyone, and that's what they did. But for me, I'm like, as a veteran who's on the edge, who was close to it now, I'm like, right, where do I go now? Where do I go now? So that was actually when I went knocking on my MP's door and said, look, this is not right. There's no here to help us. There's stuff down 30 miles up the road in Newcastle. Yeah, there's stuff down in Middlesbrough, but there's no here in County Durham that's going to help me. And that's where pretty much East Durham veterans come from. And one of the things I wanted to implement, and it's something I'm big on now, and I know it does my staff's head in, right? I know it does, but I don't care. I don't care. Was waiting list. I've said them all along. I'm not doing a waiting list. Yeah, and I get clinical supervision once a month, and my clinical supervisor is a lady called Alison, and she is absolutely phenomenal. And she's like, Andy, what are you going to do if you've got a surge of veterans coming in? I says, they'll all work longer hours. I'm like, well, what if they don't want to work longer hours? Well, they will. Or I'm a counsellor now. I'm a qualified counsellor. I don't have many clients. I've got about 4 clients I see on a weekly basis. I says, I'll start taking them on, to make sure they get that help and support straight away. Because that's what it's all about. No waiting list, straight in, get the help. But yeah, Combat Stress, they discharged us. And I was thinking to myself, about a year or so after, I was reflecting on it, and I was thinking, what about all them people they let go? Where did they go? Where did they go and get the help? Did they get the help? Or at the time there was like a surge in suicide rates.
Shite.
What is this? Why there was just nothing in place? And obviously Up Courage was still coming, but Up Courage was actually trialed by all call signs down in Portsmouth area. Now, their NHS area, right, is a lot smaller than NHS North, where we are. Yeah, so they trialed it, said, this is how it is, this is what we're doing, it's phenomenal. Government went, fantastic, rub their hands together, smash it out every NHS across the country. Now, when they did that, that's great. But the problem is, NHS North England is a lot bigger than NHS. So NHS for their area where they trialed it and it worked, and it was hunky dory and everything else, phenomenal. Now the NHS North is massive. It's massive. It's from like Leeds to the Scottish borders, coast to coast. It's a huge area, and it's a lot more rural. It's like countryside. It's little villages here, there, everywhere. Than what the likes of Portsmouth is.
Yeah, I get that. Combat shite. I've heard some horror stories about them, like, but I see. The bigger you get, right, the less personal it is. I went down reluctantly, very, very reluctantly. I think I've said this before. to help for heroes at Catterick, right? 2016, November, my granddad died. 17 January, my mum died of cancer. I've been nursing her for months. And then after that, I lost another set of grandparents and an auntie and all that within about 4 months. So the wheels come off my truck a bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went down to Catterick and it was just wet. It was just wet. This and weak, like a lukewarm cup of watery tea. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing about it at all. There was a few lads, and you could just see that it was just money driven. You know what I mean? Because they had millions, like 172 million or something in the bank. You know what I mean? It just wasn't right. There was no effective training there. You didn't come out with a tool set, a mental tool set. I'm on about here just for clarity. Like combat sight we're doing. Once you were finished there, that's it. You were gone.
Yeah.
No support structure afterwards. You know, which is wrong. And it shouldn't be down to the likes of you and Veterans at Ease and the other little charities that are potted around the countryside.
I think the difference is though, the little charities is, right? And this upsets people when I say it, but they are literally boots on the ground. You know.
Of course, yeah. But you care.
You what, sorry?
But you care.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's the issue.
If you compare me, right? So I'm the CEO of Eastern Veterans, right? So if you compare me to the CEO of the Royal British Legion, right? I could tell you probably 90% of the 700 and odd people we've got on our system who we've supported. I could tell you how we've helped them, where we've supported them. I can tell you the name. In many cases, I could tell you the wife's name, the partner's name, the boyfriend's name, yeah, the kids' name, because we're there. We're there face to face with them and we help them. I don't think that's a statistic that the CEO of the Royal British Legion could do. Now, you look at small charities. So I look at Eastern Veterans, then you look at the likes of Veterans at Ease. I tell you, another fantastic organisation is Hull for Heroes in Yorkshire.
It was
Hull for Heroes.
Old for Heroes.
Hull is in the place.
Oh, Hull for Heroes.
Hull for Heroes. So that's run by a
Right.
guy called Paul. You know, another top player bloke. There's another one in Rotherham. Yeah. Another fantastic organisations. And we're all part of the Veterans BPP program that the government's released. So we're in the middle of going through the bid for the money and all the rest, and how we're going to support veterans and all that sort of stuff.
Triple P?
For you testing us now, people, pathways, and places. That's what it stands for.
Sorry, because I'm involved in a Triple P course, which is a positive parenting program.
No, this is a veterans program from the Armed Forces Covenant. So I've met all these different organisations, and they're fantastic. You know, and that's what this program's about, is bringing these organisations together. You know, and it's great because there's no, and I don't want to sound horrible, like, but there's no Health for Heroes in there. You know, there's no Royal British Legion in there. There's no SAFAs in there. Yeah, it's people it's organisations that are literally boots on the ground, and they care about their people. And what's great is like the likes of Paul. I talk to Paul regularly now. I've met him once, but we're on LinkedIn and we're messaging each other. Are we doing this for veterans down at Hull, Andy? Oh, that's a great idea. I might do that up here. Oh, Paul, we're doing this up here, mate. You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, that's great. I might look at that, mate. See how we can introduce that. You know, so it's great that little charities can work together, share their best practices, and really support the veteran community. You know, and it's a shame that, like, I don't have a lot to do with Op Courage, unfortunately. I mean, I see Craig and I see there's a lass called Jen who works for Op Courage as well. She comes down regularly. I see those two and it's great, but I'd love to do more with them, you know, to help and support veterans, because that's what I'm passionate about. You know,
Yeah.
but if we take come off course a little bit, I'd like to talk about another op that Mr. Mercer's released, and it's something that really, really grips me shit, man. And it's Op Fortitude. You know, and it goes back to what we was talking about at the start with homeless veterans. Op Fortitude it must be, in my opinion, right? And I see it firsthand and stuff like that. in my opinion, I think Up Fortitude is the biggest failure from the UK government in about 20 years for veterans.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So December 2022, Veterans Minister Johnny Mercer come out and he said, I'm going to end veteran homelessness next year. I was rubbing my hands together. I was like, get on, bring it on, son. Like that, right? I was thinking, this is fucking phenomenal, this. Get on, because that was one of our biggest problems was veteran homelessness, blah, blah, blah. So then the program started. I'm going to release more details. I was like, phenomenal. This is going to be mint. And then the details came out and I was so deflated. It was unbelievable. So let me give you the main scenario that we see, boots on the ground for a homeless veteran. Okay? It's not a case of the veteran's packed his bag and went, oh, I'm off to live on the streets. That's not the case whatsoever, right? It's not even the case that addiction's the problem, mental health case, yeah, sometimes is the problem, and all these different things, right? That's not the issue. Now, what the issue is, 9 times out of 10 is that boy meets girl, boy meets boy, girl meets girl, right? Because they're in the forces, they've met them from a different area. Or now we've got the likes of Grindr, Tinder, all that sort of stuff. So you meet anybody from anywhere and they fall in love. Fantastic.
What's Grindr?
It's the one you're on, you know, the gear one.
Oh,
yeah?
Right.
It's the one you told us about. So, so anyway, so they're on all these apps and everything else. Boy meets girl, blah, blah, blah. Right? Boy, girl, moves to wherever boy, girl lives, set up home, get married, have kids, going to live happily ever after. However, that's not the case. Okay? So 2-3 years down the line, whatever happens, they're going to split up, right? So normally if it's a male female relationship, normally it's the male that leaves the family home. And you know, 80% of males, sorry, 89% of males make up the UK Armed Forces. So normally they're going to be the veteran within that relationship. So they leave home, they're homeless. Where to go? I've got nowhere to go. That's the normal scenario of why someone's leaving. Yeah? Does that relate to you, Mark?
It's what happened to me.
Yeah, there you go. Right? There you go. So that's like a big scenario, what happens. Now, Up Fortitude, what does Up Fortitude offer? But that person who has got no mental health problems, has got no addiction problems, the relationship's broke down, they're just going to be on the street. Yeah. What does Up Fortitude offer? I'll tell you what Up Fortitude offers that individual. Absolutely, totally and utterly, fuck all. God's offers. Up Fortitude, when we first started using it in January, April last year, we were phoning them up saying, we've got a homeless veteran, right? We've got a homeless veteran. Can you support this person? They would ask these questions. Is the homeless person a veteran? Well, that's standard. We're going to expect that question, aren't we? Yes, they are. Can you prove it? Yes, I can. Right. So, first thing we're going to ask is, are you a veteran? Right. That's standard. We're going to expect that. We're going to expect that question. Can you prove they're a veteran? Yes, because we've got the proof of service on our system, or we'll go and do a vet check through ASDIC and get the proof of service. It only takes a day or so. It's no problem. Right. So that's the first question they're going to ask. The next question is something I posed to Johnny Mercer in May last year in Darlington when I saw him face to face. The next question is, are they street homeless? Right? So there's a difference. There's lots of differences of, you're not just classed as homeless, right? There's lots of differences. So street homeless is sleeping on the street in a cardboard box, you know, with a sleeping bag. That is street homeless. Not going around your mates and kipping on the sofa, not sleeping in your mate's garage, yeah, not sleeping in your truck, not sleeping in your car, not sleeping in your workspace, which we've had with one guy. Yeah, he was staying at his work on the sofa in the crew room. Yeah. They wanted street homeless. That was the only thing. Okay. So they'd ask us that question. Johnny Mercer told me at the time, That's bullshit. That shouldn't be happening. I said, Johnny, that's happening. He said, email me. I emailed him. He didn't email me back. Nothing else heard. Okay. So there's
Right.
two questions. The next question they ask is, are they on benefits? Right. So if you're working, didn't qualify.
Big massive red flag, are you liking it?
Yeah. They wanted benefits. And so those are the three questions that we're getting asked when we phone up, right? Why did they want them on benefits? Let me explain now why they want them on benefits. Because the whole program is around, supported housing. That's what it's around. It's all around supported housing. So it's for the people who are going to go into supported housing, who run benefits, and them organisations can go, great, you're on benefits. We're now going to put the claim in, and I think they get something like it's about £1.5 grand a month. Yeah, for off on benefits, that's what you get towards supported housing. So that's why they wanted them on there. So for the guy who's working, whose relationships broke down, and he's just got nowhere to live, it's fucking useless. Absolutely useless. We were phoning up. We managed to get a couple of guys in the hotel for a couple of nights. Now they've totally changed it again. And I personally messaged Johnny Mercer and said, mate, I'm struggling here. It's Christmas. It was Christmas last year. I'm struggling here. I can't get the guy in the hospital. Your man on the other end of that phone will not help. Right? And he said, let me look into it. Come back to us an hour later. He said, because he hasn't done an assessment. I says, there's a problem there is, and I don't want to sound racist or anything like that, but when they were phoning up, it sounded like it was a call center in India. Yeah. So, you're on the street and you're having these proper dialogue issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to be fair, if you phoned the out of hours number, so if you phoned after 5 o'clock, you got a lad down in Middlesbrough who was a diamond, absolute diamond, would help you straight away. But during the day, when you're phoning Fortitude, it was just an absolute nightmare, and that's my experience of Fortitude over the past year. Now, when I was messaging Johnny Mercer, first time out, he went and helped us out the best he could. You know, did they support us in any way? No. Did they get anyone in anywhere? No. We must have phoned there over 20, 30 times in the past year. Have we had anyone who was homeless go into supported accommodation? No. How many people did they put in a hotel? I think one. You know, it ends up being massive arguments. Now, Johnny Mercer come back to us and said that the reason they need the assessment is that veterans were going into hotels and smashing hotels up. Yeah, that's what he said.
Curveball, and you know what I'm going to say. I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. So we've got, in this hand, we've got veterans who have been a part of the military community. They've been out, they've gone overseas, they've fought and whatever, you know what I mean? Seen some nasty things. Because war's terrible. It's a horrible place to be when you've been on ops and that, because it fucks with your head. So they've done all this for Queen and country, now King and country, and then they come back and they get treated like shit. They've got nowhere to live, no support structure, fuck all, you've gone in the wind. And in this hand, we've got the migrants that are coming in. It's not their fault, because they're coming in for something better. But these get everything on this hand: houses, cars, bus passes, money, food, everything. Everything's catered for them. You know what I mean? And I understand why, but what's happening over here?
Yeah.
Why haven't the soldiers, why haven't the veterans got the same care as what these got? Why?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and you know what it is, right? There's a big thing going on over here at the moment in Peatley and Seaham and places like that about HMOs and how the government wanting to put asylum seekers in HMOs up here. And our MP, he's reacted to it, and it's all being paused for now. But I'm sure it'll. Oh, of course it will. It'll come off. I'd love for them to give me one of them HMOs and said, just have that, sort the veterans out, because we've got a great relationship with the prisons, with HMP Home House, with the remand centre in Durham, because once no housing association will touch them, so once they come out, they go into a HMO where we can go in, our caseworkers can go in, work with them, get the benefits sorted, start looking for housing for them. You know, in some cases, employment, because we do have a lot of people that come forward and offer us employment.
There's a large percentage
That would
of
be
the
great,
prison
wouldn't it?
population
What,
are
sorry?
veterans. Quite a large percentage of the prison population are veterans.
3.6%,
Still a
which
lot.
doesn't sound a lot, but actually it's over, I think it's 1,400 prisoners. It makes up 3.6%. HMP Home House, they have a veterans wing. I've been on it twice. It's really good. Really, really good. It looks like we're going in there to do some more stuff with them, mental health wise. So that side of it's really good down Home House. The lass who runs it, Tracy, she's ex Signals, and she's the governor for that wing, and she's class. You know, she's class. All the guys who work on the wing, guys and girls that work on the wing, are all veterans as well. So they all speak the same language for them. You know, they have different things on for them during the week. Yeah, so it's really good. The guy who runs HMP Durham veteran side, Mick, again, good lad, got me in to see one of the veterans, and I was literally in a meeting with the governor of the prison, because they were bringing them in and they were doing a review on them. So I went in there and sat down and went through the review and helped out with that as well. So, you know, there are people in these prisons now who are helping the veterans sort of thing, and it's really looking at why they ended up in prison. You know, and some of them, I mean, I was in there a couple of, it must have been last year in HMP Home House, and there was a guy in there he got mentioned in dispatches. He was a Fijian guy, and basically he ran out under fire. Two of his comrades were injured. Picked one up, ran back in, ran back out under enemy fire, under Taliban fire, picked the other one up, ran back in, got messages in dispatches, come back to the UK, got out of the military. Transition was absolute dog turd, as we know already, and basically, struggled with his mental health to the point he got aggressive with his missus, and that's why he ended up in jail. I'm not saying what he did was right, of course it's not, but at the same time, that's why he ended up in jail. You know, because he's not getting the help, care, and support out there that's needed.
Mate, going back a few years, I'm reading a book called The Soldier's Guide to PTSD. Trying to find it on here now. Written by a guy called Thompson, somebody Thompson. I've got it close, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
He was a gentleman that's older than we are, and I don't want to misquote him, but he was in the troubles in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Come back on leave or something. Something happened to him. You know, he'd seen some really bad shit over there. He got into a fight with a guy over here, and he smacked him with a scaffolding pole.
Wow.
You know, killed him.
Wow.
He fully accepts what he did was wrong. You know, he says, I can't remember doing it. It was the red mist that came around, and you know, but he found out years ago about this thing called PTSD. He said, oh, we've definitely got it. You know, and people do things in the, you know, in that split second of anger. You know, when you're not thinking right, when your head's on a wobble and that. Yeah, absolutely accepts full responsibility for what he did, but he said there's no help at all, or there was no help at all for veterans back then. So whatever it was that was psychologically injured inside of you, you know, you just had to fucking get on with it, like, and that's what's happened to him. So he can't be the only case. Yes, we've moved forward somewhat now. There is help out there. But this is what we're talking about now. The help is not effective enough for the problem.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Totally, man. Totally on that page. You know, there's another book I read. It's called Aftershock, and it talks about. It's actually probably one of the things it talks about is quite pertinent to what we've been speaking about today with Op Courage, about, you know, going into Op Courage and then you get referred over there, you get referred there, and referred back or the other way, and all the rest of it. He calls it mental health ping pong. And basically what he's talking about is he relates to getting sent to all these different places like ping pong. You know, you're hitting the ball, it's going here, it's going there, it's going all over the place. Like, so that's a really, you know, good book. But we come to the end of the Veterans Hour today. So I deploy tonight, Jody. I'm off. I'm going to Ukraine. Me boat leaves at 5 o'clock tonight, or 5:30, something like that. I've
From
got to
where?
get jet. So I'm taking aid over the Poland-Ukraine border.
I know. Where you sailing from?
Newcastle, North Shields.
Oh, easy. You'll get up there easy.
Yeah, so on the North Shields to Amsterdam tomorrow, and then I start the journey towards Poland. The idea is on Monday I get to Berlin. Then we go on Berlin to Poznan. Poznan to Lublin, and it's in Lublin, which is down near the border, where we're meeting the aid agency from the Ukraine, who's going to take the aid in. So basically, we could go into Ukraine. They're saying that Lviv's quite safe, but the problem is that's not where the aid's needed. It's needed a lot further east, where it's dodgy. Like, so they're going to meet us in Lublin. They're going to take all the aid off us. I've got a van full of it. Some really generous people from Marlborough Surgery and Seam. Paul Lawrence, who's a veteran, who works at Durham County Council. So I've raided their PPE store. Got all sorts of stuff from him on Friday. Run people who've brought donations in, money in, all that sort of stuff. It's all in the van. It's all good to go. And I'll leave tonight, so we can talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Can I just ask you, on your next hunter-gathering mission for this, get me involved, please.
Right, you can come on the next one.
Making gold out of shite.
Yeah, we'll podcast on the way, and so we'll leave it there for this week. And I'm going to kill some kids.
Oh yeah, they're going to get throttled.
I'm looking forward to the next Facebook update. Mark, it's been a pleasure, my friend, and I'll speak to you shortly.
Hey, have a safe drive, brother.
I will do, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers now.
See you in a bit.
Bye, buddy.